Hey there, I'm Nick, a former Amazon bar raiser, and in this video I will discuss the new guidelines that Amazon issued about if you can use AI in your Amazon interview, or if using AI when you interview with Amazon will result in them no hiring you. We'll cover two topics in this video. One, I will share with you what these guidelines actually are, and two, I'll interpret these guidelines for you based on my firsthand experience and let you know if when you use AI in the Amazon interview, if that would mean that you're no hired instantly with a one-way ticket to rejection, or if Amazon would be okay with that. I was recently interviewed by Geekwire on this very topic. Geekwire is a popular technology news website, and I've included a link to that interview in the comments if you want to know even more about this topic. But I'm going to give you the gist in this video anyway. So without further delay, let's start with topic number one. Let's talk about what these guidelines actually are that Amazon released. I'm going to read those to you right now. The guidelines say Amazon believes the use of AI tools in interviews gives candidates an unfair advantage. Please do not use Gen AI tools during your interview unless explicitly permitted. Failure to adhere to these guidelines may result in disqualification from the recruitment process. So these guidelines Amazon released to their internal recruiting teams, they are the real deal, and you need to know what that means and how that would impact you for your interviews with the company. Okay, now comes part number two. What does that actually mean? Can you use AI in your interviews with Amazon, or would that result in them rejecting you? The answer to this question is nuanced. The Amazon interview process is a long marathon-like process. As I've shared with you in different videos on this channel, there are multiple stages to that process. It starts with a resume review, followed by an online assessment test, followed by a phone screen, and followed at the end by an interview loop with 5 Amazonians. So the goal of each of these stages is not to get you to the final destination and get you the job. The goal is to get you to the next stage. And as you can imagine, whether you use AI or not would be very different. Amazon's attitude to you using AI or not would be very different depending on the stage that you're in. So in some stages, you could use AI. As a matter of fact, it would be foolish of you not to use AI. And in other stages, it is absolutely prohibited. Now, let's start with the stages in the interview process where you should use AI. Let me illustrate with a simple analogy. Let's say I have these 3 Lego pieces and I need to connect for some reason the red piece to the green piece. And for some reason, I want to do it with my eyes closed. I could still do that because I remember that the green and this other Lego piece are different based on their form, and I can still try to do that. Or I can just open my eyes and see that this is the green piece, this is the red piece, and I connect the two together. So the same is similar with using AI in certain stages of the Amazon interview process. If you don't use the AI tools available today, you're going to be putting yourself at a disadvantage. It's flat out foolish for you not to use AI. There are 2 specific stages where using AI is going to give you an advantage. Stage number 1 is when you take your online assessment test. The online assessment test comes after the resume review, and it is an online test. In its very name, it says so. And it's also an open book test. There is no proctoring that Amazon is going to administer when you take the test. They're going to send you a link to the test, and usually the only requirement they'll have is for you to complete the test in one sitting, or certain portions of the test to complete in one sitting. They're not going to capture your keystrokes. They're not going to capture your screen. It's an open book test. So especially if you are an engineer, if you're a TPM, if you're a solutions architect, and if you're given a technology problem like needing to code or an algorithmic type of problem, etc., you would be foolish not to use AI when coming up with the answer. And what's more, certain Amazon teams are now increasingly changing their online assessment tests to account for candidates taking them with the help of AI, because these teams want to explicitly look for and hire candidates who are AI proficient. You can watch this video here next with my specific tips and suggestions on how to ace your online assessment test in general. But again, one of the areas where you must use AI in your Amazon interview is when you take your online assessment test. The second Amazon interview area where it's totally fine to use AI is when you're practicing for the interview with simulated questions. The AI agents out there today, whichever one is the agent of your preference, Claude or GPT or Perplexity or Grok or what have you, they're exceptionally strong at generating real and believable questions with which you can practice. Those questions could be behavioral accomplishment questions along the Amazon leadership principles. Those questions could be behavioral failure questions. Functional questions, case study role-playing questions these tools are exceptional at generating. And let me demonstrate this to you with an example here. I recently had to simulate a question for a technical PM interview. And here's what, in this case, ChatGPT came up with. Your team, it says, is executing a $10 million fleet remediation initiative for aging server racks. Midway through execution, cost overrun by 20% due to vendor price increases. Your VP insists you cannot add additional funding. Rebidding suppliers would cause a 3-month delay. And there's a cheap alternative, but it's untested. The question is, how do you adjust the program to stay within budget, mitigate the delay, and gain approval for the changes? That is an exceptional functional question, role-playing question for a TPM at Amazon. It is picture perfect textbook question. And you can use AI agents to generate countless behavioral and functional questions. And again, if you don't do so, you're going to potentially be at a disadvantage when compared to other candidates who are using AI agents to prepare. Now, let's talk about the inverse. Areas in your interview process with Amazon where you must not use AI. Area number 1, the state of AI agents today is such that they're exceptionally good at generating these simulated behavioral and functional questions, as I mentioned earlier. But they're very bad at coming up with answers to these questions. They're stilted answers, they're not thorough, and you can tell they're superfluous and somewhat academic. I'm going to continue with my example here for the TPM interview where I showed you this question, which was excellent. Now let's see what answer the AI generated. And it's quite disappointing. First off, it comes up with a star response, and you do not answer a functional question with a star framework. And then it proceeds to come up with this almost like role-playing, stilted way of, oh, this is my situation, which you already told me, the $10 million fleet reduction. And my task is to cut the $2 million in costs. And the actions that I took are these 3 things, and they're completely unjustified. Here it says you conducted a deep cost breakdown that saved $800,000. How did you do that? What does that mean? It's really unclear. You negotiated bulk discounts with secondary vendors to save $400,000. I mean, that's just completely come out of thin air. It makes, I mean, that just makes no sense. So, and the nonsensical answers continue throughout this response. So again, the takeaway is do not use AI to simulate answers and study for your interview with Amazon. The second area where you should not use AI, it's a complete no-no, is during the live interview. If you use AI during the interview, that is tantamount to cheating. You will violate Amazon's earn trust principle and you'll be no hired immediately. Some people would be tempted to open a sidebar screen with their AI agent during the interview and read the teleprompter or have some sort of voice-to-text recognition AI stream answers in their ear. Do not do that. If Amazon catches you doing so, and they will, I guarantee you, you'll be no hired instantly. That is plain cheating. Don't do it. Cheating has been around forever. So a lot of these AI uses, they're potentially the delivery mechanism is new, but the actual nature of the cheating is not new. Before AI, in their online interviews, some people would be tempted to glue answer sheets on the walls of the room and read off of them or open a second window on their screen. Do not do that. These cheating practices are quite old. I've published a separate video on this almost a year ago. You can watch it here. The point is, do not torpedo your chances of being hired by Amazon. You've worked hard, you've prepared well. Do not cheat during the live interview. That's why Amazon released those guidelines to alert their recruiting teams against exactly that type of use of AI. Do not shoot yourself in the foot. And that's what I wanted to share with you on this topic. Let me know in the comments how you're using AI as you get ready for your interview with Amazon. And now that you know how to use AI and how not to use AI when you interview with Amazon, it's time for you to watch this next video here, where I'll walk you through step by step a 7-day challenge of how to land your dream job with Amazon. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you here next. Good luck.